Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, my friend and ma'ams. We are from Group 10. I am Adinda Putri and my friend is Salsa. In this occasion, we will explain about reference and Deixis. For reference will be explained by me, and Deixis will be explained by Salsa Khairunisa. Okay, reference and sense. A referring expression is any expression used in utterance to refer to something or someone, or a clearly delimited collecting of things or people. For example, used with a particular referent in mind. Okay, let's see the example. Fred hit me, and there is no Fred at this address. For the first example, the name Fred in a utterance such as Fred hit me, where the speaker has a particular person when he says Fred, is a referring expression. And Fred in there is no Fred at this address is not a referring expression, because in this case, a speaker would not have a particular person in mind when uttering the words. The same expression can be a referring expression or not, like or, as some would, may or may not have a referring interpretation, depending on the context. This is true of indefinite noun phrase. Now we come to an opaque content. An opaque content is a part of a sentence which could be made into a complete sentence by the addition of a referring expression, but where the addition of different referring expression, even though they refer to the something or person, in a given situation will yield sentence with different meanings when the utterance in a given situation. Now we come to the types of reference. There are three types of reference. First is definite. What is definite? Definite, okay, let's see. Definite, it is the act of identifying the entities through linguistic expression through their properties. For the example, the florist delivered flower to her. We can distinguishing elements. Definite determiners is the and our. And the pronoun is I and she or he. Now we come to the indefinite. What is indefinite? Indefinite is the success of the act of reference does not depend on the individual features, only the class. Let's see the example of florist delivered flower to her. We can distinguishing elements. Indefinite determiner is a and many. Indefinite pronoun is anyone. Now we come to the generic. What is generic? Generic is they are noun which do not pick out a particular entity but a general class. Let's see the example. The airplane is a safe mode of transportation. An airplane is a safe mode of transportation, and airplanes are a safe mode of transportation. All of the statement explain that a reliable means of transportation is by a way of airplane. Next slide is predicate. What is predicate? Now we come to predicates. What is predicates? Before we come to predicates, let's talk about the predicator. The predicator is a simple declarative sentence is the word or sometimes a group of words which does not belong to any of referring expression and which of the reminder makes the most specific contribution to the meaning of the sentences. Intuitively speaking, the predicator describes the state or process in which the referring expression are involved. Uh, Now we come to a predicate. What is a predicate? A predicate is any word or sequence of words which, in a given single sense, can function as the predicator of a sentence. Let's see the example of Mommy is asleep. Mommy is asleep. The word asleep is a predicator. So the example of predicator here like hungry, in, croak, asleep, show, and borrow. Now we come to referring expression versus predicates. Distinction between referring expression and predicates. An expression is used in a given utterance either refer to some entity in the word or it is not used in such a way. Proper names are always used as a referring expression and verb and preposition as predicates. Indefinite noun phrase can be used as both. Predicates do not refer but can also use when contained in the meaning of a referring expression to identify the referent of that expression predicates of in the corner. In a corner, these predicates help to identify the referent of the referring expression to the man who is in the corner. Next slide. Now we come to universe of discourse. What is generic sentence? Okay, let's talk about generic sentence. A generic sentence is a sentence in which some statement is made about a whole unrestricted class of individuals as opposite to any particular individual. For example, the whale is mammal. This is the generic sentence. Because we understood in the most usual way that the whale is a mammal. And the second example is that whale over there is a mammal. It's not a generic sentence because we don't know which whale does the speaker mean. Over there, we don't know over there. And now we come to universe of discourse. We define the universe of discourse for any utterance as the particular word, real or imaginary, like a part of real or imaginary that the speaker assumes he is talking about at the time. For example, when an astronomy lecturer in a serious lecture state that the Earth revolves around the Sun. The universe of discourse is, without assume, the real world of universe. When I tell my children a bedtime story and says, the dragon set fire to the woods with his hot breath, the universe of discourse is not the real world, but it's a fictitious world. It's not a real, just a fiction. Okay, I think that's all for me. For the next slide will be explained by Salsa Bila Khairunisa.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Salsa Khairunisa. Now I'll come to the topic about Deixis and distance. Deixis means pointing via language. Pointing is called deictic expression. So pointing is also called deictic expression. Now I will give example of Deixis like here. Naila says, I love reading. The word I refers to Naila. So I is one of deictic expression and it is used to indicate Naila. Next, Deixis is a form of referring that is tied speaker context with the most basic distinction between deictic expression being near speakers or away from speakers. Near speakers is also called proximal terms and away from speakers is also called distal terms. The example of near speakers like we use now and here, and for the example away from the speaker, like we use deictic expression there and also then. Okay, now it comes to the person deixis. Person deixis is any expression that used to point to a person. A person deixis operates on the basic three parts division exemplified by the pronouns. There is three pronouns is subject pronouns, objective pronouns, and also possessive pronouns. And it's and here I use the example from the subject pronoun. For the first person is I for the singular and we for the plural. And for second person, for the singular and plural, we use you. And the third person is he, she, it for the singular and they for the plural. Now we see the example for person deixis. Aini said to Nurul, you have to move on. The word or deictic expression of you here in this sentence is used to indicate Nurul or you refers to Nurul. Next, special deixis. Special deixis is word used to point to a location. In considering spatial deixis, it is important to remember that location from the speaker's perspective can be fixed mentally as well as physically. So, like before, there are the near speakers and also away from the speakers. For the spatial deixis examples, I described when teacher said to his student that he will be at the school until 3 p.m. I'm so sorry, I have some mistake in right the sentence like she should be he, and also in should be at. I'm so sorry. So the sentence, you can submit your assignment to me before 3 p.m. I will be here. The word here is the dative expression that used to indicate school. So the location that indicates here is school. Next, temporal deixis. Temporal deixis is the expression that used to point the time. The use of proximal form now as indicating both the time coinciding with the speaker's utterance and the time of the speaker's voice being heard, or the here is now. For the example, Andi say, where do you live? And Rika answered, I live in Padang now. So word now is dative expression that is used by the speaker's ut- by the speaker's utterance and the time of the speaker's voice being heard, or it means it is proximal forms. Next, in contrast, the distal expression then applies to both past and future time relative to speaker's expression time. For example, January 24, I was born then. So here, word then is applies for the past time by the relative speakers present present the sentence. And the second example, Sunday morning we will meet then. The sentence here is the word then here is applies for the future time by the speakers present the sentence. Okay, next, Deixis and grammar. The interpretation uh, depends on the context, the speaker's intention, and they express relative distance. I will explain this. I will explain what I means by the sentence using examples. First example, are you planning to be here this evening? And the second example, I asked her if she was planning to be there that evening. From two of sentence or two of examples, we may see the changing of the sentence. The first example, there is a changing context. The first sentence is the first example is direct present by the speakers, and the second is the reported sentence. So the first example is the direct sentence, and the second examples is the reported sentence. And then we will see the changing in the person deixis from the second person you, they take expression you, into the third person, they take expression her in, and also she. And next we see the changing in the spatial deixis from here into there, and also in the temporal deixis uh, we have seen the changing from the this into that. Okay, all maybe that all my explanation about our topic today. Uh, um, I'm sorry for uh, any mistake, and thank you for your attention. Next session will be adding information about our today's topic, or our today's discussion, and also will be the Q&A session. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.